The arena of Karox Prime had been carved from the ribbed remains of an ancient impact crater, its jagged stone walls rising like the teeth of some colossal beast frozen mid-snarl. Above it, twin suns burned through a haze of copper dust, casting long, blade-sharp shadows across the sand. Every grain had been stained darker over centuries, not by rust, but by blood. This was the Crucible. Across the galaxy, the Crucible was infamous. Civilizations rose and fell, empires signed treaties and shattered them, but the Crucible endured. It was where disputes between species were settled when diplomacy failed and annihilation felt wasteful. Champions fought here. Legends were born here. More often, they died. The crowd roared as energy barriers shimmered into place, enclosing the arena. Millions watched in person, billions more through quantum relays. Every seat was filled by creatures of every imaginable form, scaled, furred, chitinous, bioluminescent. They had come for spectacle. They had come for death. At the center of the arena stood Veilrix of the Shattered Claw, champion of the Dravathi Dominion. She was tall even by Dravathi standards, her reptilian frame wrapped in ceremonial battle armor that clung to her like a second skin. Four backward-curving horns crowned her head, each etched with kill marks. Her eyes burned a molten gold, slit pupils locked forward with predatory focus. A segmented tail lashed behind her, cracking against the sand. Veilrix raised her twin electroglaves, their crackling blue arcs humming hungrily. "This will be quick," she hissed, her voice amplified across the arena. "I will enjoy it." Her opponent had not yet entered. That in itself was an insult. The Dravathi were apex predators from a high-gravity death world. Their species valued strength above all else. To them, combat was not merely survival, it was identity. Veilrix had slain warlords, crushed insurgents, and personally ended 3 rebellions. She had never been defeated in single combat. And today she was facing a human. A murmur rippled through the crowd as the far gate finally opened. The human stepped into the light. He was smaller than most champions who fought here. No towering exoskeleton, no shimmering energy armor. Just a man in worn combat fatigues, dark and unadorned, boots sinking slightly into the sand. No helmet, no visible weapons. The crowd erupted, not with cheers, but laughter. Veilrix felt her lip curl back instinctively, revealing serrated teeth. "Is this a joke?" she snarled. "Did your species send a servant to die in your place?" The human stopped several meters from her. He rolled his shoulders once, as if loosening stiff muscles, then looked up at her, not with fear, but with calm, assessing eyes. "My name is Marcus Hale," he said evenly. "I'm here to accept your challenge." The laughter intensified. Veilrix barked a harsh, mocking sound that passed for amusement among her kind. "You stand in the Crucible, human. You face me in a death match. You do not even carry a blade." Marcus shrugged. "Didn't think I'd need one." The crowd went silent. Veilrix's eyes narrowed. The Dravathi had studied humanity, of course. Everyone had after the Terran expansion wars. Humans were classified as Class 7 Deathworlders, a rarity, but still weaker than the Dravathi, who were Class 9. Humans relied on machines, tactics, numbers. Individually, they were nothing special. Or so the data claimed. The announcer's voice thundered across the arena. "Combatants, prepare. Victory condition. Death or submission. No interference. No mercy." Veilrix spread her stance, talons digging into the sand. "Kneel now," she offered, magnanimous. "I will make your death swift." Marcus exhaled slowly. "I've heard that before." The horn sounded. Veilrix exploded forward. The distance between them vanished in a heartbeat. Her glaives came down in a lethal cross, arcs of energy screaming as they cut toward Marcus's neck and torso. He moved. Not faster than her. No human could match Adravathi's raw speed, but smarter. He stepped into the attack, slipping beneath the crossing blades, his shoulder slamming into her armored chest. Veilric staggered back a half-step, more surprised than hurt. The crowd gasped. She snarled and swung again, a sweeping strike meant to bisect him. Marcus ducked, rolled across the sand, and came up behind her, already moving. Veilric spun, tail lashing out. It caught him across the ribs with a crack that echoed through the arena, hurling him several meters away. He hit the ground hard, skidding through the sand. Cheers erupted. "There it is," someone screamed. "That's the difference." Veilrix advanced, savoring the moment. "You see now," she said coldly. "You are fragile." Marcus coughed, then laughed, a short, breathless sound. He pushed himself to his feet, wincing slightly as he pressed a hand to his side. "Yeah," he admitted. "We break easy." Veilrix raised her glaives. "Then break." She charged again. This time, Marcus didn't retreat. He waited. At the last possible second, he leapt, not away, but up, using Veilrix's forward momentum against her. His boots slammed into her chest, sending them both crashing to the ground in a tangle of limbs and armor. The glaives skittered away, energy fields flickering out as they hit the sand. The arena went berserk. Veilrix roared, grappling with him, claws slashing. One rake tore through his sleeve, drawing blood. Another grazed his cheek, warmth spilling down his face. Marcus grunted, but didn't disengage. He wrapped an arm around her neck, locking it tight, using his other hand to brace against her shoulder. Veilrix bucked violently, muscles rippling beneath her armor. She slammed him into the ground again and again, each impact rattling his bones. She could feel him weakening. Humans tired quickly. Their endurance was inferior. Or so she believed. What she didn't know, what most of the galaxy didn't, was that Marcus Hale had grown up on Ganymede Station, under partial gravity and constant system failures. That he'd survived the collapse of Europa's ice colonies. That he'd fought in vacuum, in jungles, in radiation-soaked ruins where machines failed and only grit kept you alive. He didn't let go. Instead, he adjusted his grip, shifting pressure points, cutting off airflow through her tracheal vents. He squeezed with everything he had. Veilrix's vision flickered. She hissed, claws digging into his back, tearing fabric and flesh. Marcus growled through clenched teeth, pain flaring white-hot, but he held. Seconds stretched. The Dravathi champion had never known fear in battle. Now, for the first time, she felt it. She slammed her head back, horns cracking into his face. Marcus reeled. Blood sprang. The hold loosened just enough. Veilrix twisted free and scrambled to her feet, chest heaving. Marcus collapsed to one knee, gasping, blood dripping from his nose and mouth. The crowd was screaming now, some in shock, others in savage delight. Veilrix stared at him, something unsettling coiling in her chest. He should have been dead, broken, begging. Instead, he wiped blood from his mouth with the back of his hand and pushed himself upright again. "You're stubborn," she rasped. Marcus smiled faintly. "That's one word for it." She lunged again, but her movements were no longer smooth. Fatigue had set in. Dravathi's strength was immense, but explosive. They were not built for prolonged grappling. Marcus saw it, exploited it. He sidestepped, grabbed her wrist, and twisted. There was a sharp crack as one of the smaller bones in her forearm snapped. Veilrix screamed, dropping to a knee. Before she could recover, Marcus drove his elbow into the side of her head, once, twice, again. She fell. Silence swept the arena like a shockwave. Veilrix lay on her back, staring up at the twin suns, chest rising and falling in ragged bursts. Her vision blurred. The taste of iron filled her mouth. A shadow fell across her. Marcus stood over her, swaying slightly, bloodied and bruised, but standing.
He could end it now.
She knew that. A strike to the throat. A broken neck. She had offered him no mercy. Slowly, she raised her remaining functional arm and pressed her open palm to the sand. The universal gesture of submission. The announcer hesitated, then shouted, voice cracking with disbelief. Champion Veilrix yields. The arena exploded. Marcus staggered back, breathing hard. Med drones swooped in, but he waved them off, eyes still on Veilrix. She struggled to sit up, pride warring with survival. Finally, she met his gaze. Why? She demanded hoarsely. Why spare me? Marcus considered her for a long moment. Because, he said quietly, this wasn't about killing you. It was about proving a point. She frowned. What point? He gestured vaguely to the roaring crowd, to the watching galaxy beyond. That humans aren't what you think. We're not the strongest, not the fastest, but we adapt. We endure. And when pushed, we don't stop. Veilrix studied him, truly studied him, for the first time. Not as prey, not as an inferior species, but as a warrior. Then I misjudged you, she said at last. Among the Dravathi, those words carried immense weight. Marcus nodded. Most do. As he turned to leave the arena, Veilrix called out after him. Human. He paused. You have taken more than my victory today, she said slowly. You have taken my certainty. He glanced back, meeting her eyes. That's usually how it starts. Weeks later, across the galaxy, the match would be dissected endlessly, frame by frame, tactic by tactic. Scholars would revise combat doctrines. Militaries would adjust threat assessments. The Crucible would remember Marcus Hale as a victor. But Veilrix remembered something else. In the silence of recovery chambers and sleepless nights, she remembered the moment she had challenged a human to a death match, certain of dominance, hungry for blood, and how she had lost far more than the fight. She had lost her illusions, and the galaxy would never be the same. Veilrix did not leave the Crucible in chains. That alone unsettled the Dravathi Dominion. Tradition demanded punishment for failure, exile at best, ritual execution at worst. A champion who yielded before death was seen as broken, unworthy of command. When the medships carried her back to the Dominion capital instead of a prison moon, the High Claws convened in emergency session. They expected shame. They received defiance. Veilrix stood before the ruling council with her fractured arms still bound in synth cast, her horns chipped, her scales dulled from battle.
She did not bow.
I lost, she said plainly, but I was not defeated. The chamber hissed with outrage. You yielded to a human, snarled Elder Crothwin, a lesser Deathworlder. You disgraced. I learned. Veilrix cut in sharply, her golden eyes blazing. And that knowledge is worth more than another corpse in the sand. She recounted the fight in exacting detail. Not the blows, but the choices. The way the human absorbed pain instead of avoiding it. The way he used exhaustion as a weapon. The way he refused the kill when honor, or cruelty, would have demanded it. The human did not win because he was stronger, she concluded. He won because he understood something we do not. And what is that? The council demanded. Veilrix's tail stilled. That survival is not dominance, she said. It is persistence. The words echoed through the chamber like a fracture spreading through stone. For the first time in Dominion history, the council postponed judgment. Marcus Hale returned to human space as quietly as he had entered the Crucible. There were no parades, no medals. Officially, the match was logged as a localized diplomatic engagement. Unofficially, every military analyst in Terran Command watched the footage until the frames burned into their minds. Marcus refused interviews. When pressed by admirals and politicians, he offered only one statement. I didn't win because I was human. I won because she underestimated what pain teaches us. Then he vanished from the public eye. Some said he retired to the outer colonies. Others whispered he joined a Black Ops unit that answered to no flag. A few claimed he turned down command offers from 3 different planetary defense forces. The truth was simpler. Marcus went back to work, because that's what humans did after surviving something that should have killed them. Months later, the Crucible hosted another match. Different species, different dispute, but the crowd was smaller this time, quieter. Every challenger glanced at the human delegation seated high above the arena. Every champion wondered, just for a heartbeat, whether strength alone was enough. Across the galaxy, subtle changes followed. Dravathi battle doctrine shifted toward endurance training. Alien tacticians began studying human combat psychology. The phrase, Deathworld persistence, entered academic journals. And among mercenaries, soldiers, and fighters of every species, a new saying spread. Never let a human decide when the fight is over. Valrix watched the Crucible once more, not from the sand, but from the stands. She had declined reinstatement as champion. Instead, she served as a strategic observer, her authority rebuilt not through fear, but through insight. Younger warriors sought her counsel, not on how to kill faster, but on how to survive longer. Sometimes, in quiet moments, she replayed the fight in her mind. The moment she could have killed him but didn't. The moment he could have killed her but chose not to. Among the Dravathi, mercy was still considered dangerous. But Valrix had begun to see it differently. Mercy was not weakness. It was restraint earned through confidence. One cycle, a sealed transmission arrived. Human origin.
Short.
Unencrypted. Marcus Hale. You fought well. The offer still stands if you ever want to see Earth. Valrix stared at the message for a long time. Then, slowly, she smiled. A rare, unsettling expression among her kind. Perhaps, she thought, the galaxy had misjudged humans. Or perhaps humans had simply been waiting, enduring, until the rest of the stars were ready to learn what a true Deathworlder really was. Not the one who kills the fastest, but the one who survives everything.